The studio was humming long before the red on-air sign ever lit up. Assistants darted around clutching clipboards, camera operators fine-tuned their equipment, and the audience, already seated, buzzed with the kind of anticipation reserved for big TV moments. Everyone knew today's guest was huge. Everyone knew the pairing could be magic. But underneath that excitement was a subtle tension floating through the room, one that not even the upbeat pop music blasting through the speakers could completely dissolve. Kelly Clarkson stood backstage with her cards in hand, skimming the interview outline. She was trying to shake off a strange feeling she couldn't quite explain. Something about today felt off. She chalked it up to nerves, exhaustion, maybe even the pressure of hosting a daily show while juggling her own music projects. She took a deep breath, shook out her shoulders, and forced a smile. She loved her job, she loved talking to people, and she genuinely admired Miranda Lambert, the guest of honor. But she couldn't ignore the murmurs she'd heard for weeks, whispers about Miranda feeling slighted by a comment Kelly had made during a radio appearance, something harmless that had been twisted by tabloids into shade. Kelly had dismissed it, believing the two of them were on good enough terms to laugh it off. Still, a tiny knot tightened in her chest as a stage manager counted her down. 5, 4, 3. The music blasted through the speakers, the audience erupted, and Kelly stepped out with that effortless warmth she was known for. Her smile brightened the room, her laugh rolled through the studio like sunshine. She thanked the crowd, did a quick intro, and then announced her guest. And now, Kelly said, "Y'all make some noise for the one and only Miranda Lambert." The applause was thunderous, but the second Miranda walked out, something shifted. Her smile was polite but stiff, the kind of smile that didn't quite touch her eyes. The audience clapped anyway, oblivious to the tension that vibrated underneath her entrance. Kelly moved forward with open arms, ready for a hug, but Miranda extended a hand instead, a casual gesture on the surface, but it landed with a thud between them. Kelly blinked, surprised, then covered it with a laugh. "Okay, handshake it is," she joked lightly. The audience chuckled, but Kelly felt the awkwardness immediately. Miranda sat down with a slow, measured grace, crossing her legs and adjusting her leather jacket as if preparing for a battle rather than an interview. Kelly took her seat too, trying to pretend her heartbeat hadn't quickened. She began with friendly, softball questions, to her life, songwriting, Miranda's new music video. Miranda answered, but her tone was sharper than usual, more guarded, like she had armor on beneath her denim. Kelly flipped to the next card, smiling through the unease. "So," she said warmly, "your new album is getting a lot of attention. Fans say it's got a softer feel. A different vibe." She meant it as a compliment. It was the exact phrasing Miranda's own team had approved. But Miranda's eyes narrowed almost instantly. "Softer," she echoed. "Different vibe." Her voice carried an edge. Kelly blinked, caught off guard. "Yeah, like, more reflective, more personal." Miranda tilted her head. "So, mellow." Kelly felt heat creep up the back of her neck. "No, she laughed awkwardly. "I'm not saying mellow gives off anything bad. I'm saying people are noticing the shift." Miranda leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "You've made comments like that before, Kelly." There it was. The knot in Kelly's stomach pulled even tighter. "Oh," Kelly said carefully. "You mean, the radio interview? That was taken way out of context. I said your older albums had a different energy. I never said the new stuff wasn't strong." Miranda sat back, unfazed. "Well, it sounded like shade." The audience murmured in surprise. Kelly shook her head. "Miranda, you know me. I don't do shade." Miranda shrugged as if unconvinced. "You're in the talk show world now. Drama gets clicks." Kelly froze. The air felt thick, heavy. She could practically feel the producers flinching behind the cameras. "That's not fair," Kelly replied, her voice steady but wounded. "I don't exploit people for ratings. That's never been my style." Miranda crossed her arms, maybe not intentionally. Kelly felt that sting deep. She set her cards down slowly, trying to process the jab without reacting emotionally. Miranda watched her, expression unreadable. "I'm trying to have a respectful conversation," Kelly said calmly. "If there's something you want to talk about, I'm right here." Miranda didn't blink. "I just don't appreciate being framed like some washed-up diva going soft." Kelly shook her head firmly. "I don't think that, I've never thought that, and I promise you, nobody on my team wrote these questions to make you look bad." Miranda smirked. "Really? Because it feels like you're reading from a script written in a tabloid newsroom." The audience gasped softly again. Kelly's jaw tightened. Miranda, you're here because I admire your talent. I've defended you, supported your music, praised your albums, publicly and privately. Miranda raised her brows. Then maybe talk about my music instead of my vibe. Kelly took a slow breath. She knew this moment could either diffuse the situation or ignite it. I'm genuinely sorry you feel attacked, she said. But I don't think anything I said deserved this level of heat. Miranda gave a short, humorless laugh. Guess we're just in different places today. The energy in the studio had shifted the moment Kelly returned from the commercial break. A hush fell over the audience, not the good kind, the charged kind, the kind that comes when people realize the fun daytime talk show they came to watch has veered into territory no one expected. Kelly walked back to her seat with the tight smile she used when she was trying to hold herself together, the one her longtime viewers recognized instantly. The band played her in, but the usual cheerfulness in the notes seemed almost forced, as though even the musicians sensed they were providing the soundtrack to a moment that would be replayed online for days. Miranda Lambert sat opposite her, legs crossed, chin slightly lifted. She looked unbothered, or at least determined to look unbothered. The earlier tension between them, which everyone hoped would dissipate during commercial break, remained heavy in the air like static electricity waiting for the next spark. Kelly glanced at the cue cards in her hand, but it was obvious she wasn't reading them. She inhaled slowly, exhaled, then looked directly at Miranda with a steadiness that made the room lean forward. So, she began softly but firmly, before we go on, I think there's something we need to address. Miranda shifted in her chair, eyebrows raising in a challenge. If you feel like you need to, she said, her voice smooth but edged. Kelly set the cue cards aside. I think honesty is better than pretending, she replied. In the way the conversation went earlier, I don't want to continue like nothing happened. There was a ripple of murmurs in the audience. The cameras zoomed in closer, the producers sensing the volatility but deciding to let it play out. Live TV was unforgiving, yet irresistible. Miranda laughed lightly, though there was no warmth in it. I just told the truth, Kelly. If the truth ruffles feathers, that's not on me. Kelly blinked slowly. There's a difference between honesty and taking a personal jab. Miranda leaned forward. All I said was that sometimes people change so much that they forget who they used to be. That's not a jab, that's an observation. Kelly's jaw tightened. Anyone who had followed her life, the divorce, the move, the evolution in her music, knew exactly what Miranda had been implying earlier in the show. It wasn't subtle, it was targeted, and Kelly was done being the target. Miranda, she said, voice steady but no longer soft, you suggested I was selling out because of Evolved. You questioned my authenticity on my own show. And you did it with a smile. A few audience members gasped. Miranda's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. I didn't say you sold out, Miranda replied. I said fame changes people. And it does. Kelly's expression hardened. You came here to promote your tour, not to take shots at my character. The room tensed again. The crew exchanged glances. A producer stood off stage holding up a card that read, "Move on." But Kelly ignored it. She wasn't done, and everyone knew it. Miranda's gaze sharpened. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I like country artists who stay rooted. You know, real, not ones who reinvent themselves every time something in their life gets tough. Kelly sat back, stunned for a moment. The audience reacted immediately. Some gasped, others whispered, a few shook their heads. Even the band members looked uncomfortable. When Kelly finally spoke, her voice carried a weight that silenced the room. Do you have any idea how condescending that sounds? She asked. Reinvention isn't a betrayal, it's survival. Miranda crossed her arms. If you say so. Kelly pressed her lips together. I'm not doing this, she said quietly. Miranda shrugged. You asked. Kelly stood up. The audience stirred, sensing something significant was happening. No, she said, shaking her head, you pushed. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to let this show become a place where I get blindsided or disrespected in front of millions. Miranda raised her eyebrows. So what? Are you walking away? Kelly looked at the cameras, then at the audience. There was a sadness in her eyes, but also a resolve that surprised even her. I love this show, she said. I love the people who watch it, the people who work on it, the guests who come here with openness and kindness. But I've always promised myself I'd never stay in a place where I felt small. I've been there before, I won't be again. Miranda smirked. Come on, Kelly, don't be dramatic. Kelly turned to her with a calmness that landed harder than any angry retort. This isn't drama, this is dignity. The audience erupted into a mixture of applause and stunned murmur. The producers looked panicked. A director frantically signaled to cut to commercial, but Kelly raised a hand. "No," she said, "I want to finish this." She turned back to the viewers, those in the studio and those watching at home. "I think it's time for me to take a break from this show. Maybe a long one, maybe longer than that." Miranda's expression slipped into something resembling shock. "Wait, are you saying?" Kelly didn't let her finish. "I'm saying this is my last episode for a while. And maybe my last as host. I need to step back, recenter, heal, and not let anyone, no matter how big their name is, undermine my journey."